Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So let's talk about Duane, shall we? What a mess. If I were in charge, I would have never released him in JP at all. So as a JP player, I and many other folks were waiting with trepidation the unit announcement for March 1st. Would it be the third cost 100 unit in 3 months? I've said before that 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern, and here we are with the third, so now I think we have to operate under the assumption that cost 100 is now a regular thing, that it is the new standard, and that they can show up at any time. First, I'll go over the JP community's reaction to the announcement. I've been checking Twitter and YouTube comments. For one thing, cost 100 was trending on Twitter to give you an idea of how big a deal this is. This is really the next major snafu after the anniversary banners. People are not happy, and for a number of reasons. They see the price of the game going up, they aren't happy with the choice of character, and they aren't happy with the timing, considering what else is going on in the world of Japanese mobile gaming. To the first point, this isn't so much about Duane as it is about the pattern of cost 100 unit releases. JP users don't care as much how useful or cool the new units are, as they care about the crazy price of building cost 100 units. Japanese people spend more on mobile games than any other country, and twice as much as the number 2 country, South Korea, but even they have their limits. Cost 80 units are already pretty expensive compared to other mobile games, but cost 100 are ridiculous. Now, I've talked before about player-side power creep versus game-side power creep, PvP versus PvE. For a lot of users, PvP is their favorite thing, but to stay competitive they have to use the newer units, and of course +5 equipment and max UR vision cards, because that's what everybody else is doing. If cost 100 units are the new normal, that significantly raises the price of the game, and PvP specifically. That's the main issue here. For fewer people, the choice of character is a problem. Duane is not an impactful main story character like Mont or Gilgamesh, and also with the faster pace of cost 100 units, suddenly the cost 100 status is not as special. Also, there are some JP users that don't like that he is a global first unit, like it's sloppy seconds or something. To me, that issue is about as non-consequential as global players upset that their global first unit is less special, because now he is in JP2. The unit is still just as good, either way. Also, users in both versions see this as the developers being lazy. Like, in their mind, the developers are like, hey, what should we release next week? Oh, is that time already? I don't know. I'm pretty tired. Let's just slide over that global first unit. And done. Good work, everyone. First round's on me. No, that's not how game design works. I'm 99% sure that Duane was designed top to bottom all the way through EX jobs, with both global and JP release dates in mind, so that he would be strong, but not too strong, in each metagame at level 99 and level 120 respectively, back in like June 2020. They did the work, and he was probably harder to design than other units. And bit of a tangent here, but I saw some global users upset that their global exclusive unit wasn't actually exclusive. I was aware that the official wording from launch was global first, but I had a heart attack and I was like, oh crap, did I say Duane was global exclusive in my videos? I went back and checked, and no, I never said global exclusive, so I didn't mislead anyone there. Whew. But I checked old videos on other channels, and I don't want to name names, but pretty much everyone was saying global exclusive. Shout out to Nerd Knight. I believe he was the only one of the major content creators to not use that phrase. But I've talked about this. Content creators have to be careful to get their facts straight because people are coming to us for information and analysis. And if we're working with half-heard or half-understood information, or just plain wrong information, we can mislead people. We can set them up for disappointment that didn't have to happen. If you've ever worked for a newspaper, you know that getting the facts right is a very serious matter. It's not a big deal this time because Duane is a really good unit, and everybody should feel good about getting and using him regardless of his status in this version or that version. But some people are upset with the developers about it. Little things like that chip away at the user's trust in the company, and of course, while there are legitimate things to be upset about, unforced errors like this are just such a waste. A personal anecdote, but I quit Final Fantasy Brave Exvius over a lost 100% Moogle. In isolation, that sounds silly, but it was just another thing in a long line of disappointments, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back. So if we can be careful and not add unnecessary disappointments, we can keep more players, we can keep the revenue flowing, we can continue having a great, generous game. People might think I get off on being vinegary, but I'm often doing it with the intention of challenging people to be better. And yes, I'm sure I've driven people away from the game with my vinegary attitude, and I need to challenge myself to be better too. Alright, that turned out to be a big tangent, but let's get back to this Duane snafu. The final reason JP users are upset is the timing, considering the world of Japanese mobile gaming. Many War of the Visions users picked up the recently released Nier Reincarnation or Horse Princess Pretty Derby, or both, and many have completely dropped War of the Visions in favor of those. Dedicated War of the Visions users are worried about losing fellow users because with fewer players and less revenue, their game experience gets squeezed in various ways that I've laid out in other videos. It's just cutting costs, so don't take it personally. And so the dedicated War of the Visions users wanted something splashy and fun and impactful to keep users from quitting War of the Visions, and instead we got this cost 100 global first unit of a character that no one cares about. And in fact, Duane will probably drive people away from the game faster. Nier in particular is a dangerous rival. It's the biggest hit in Japan since Genshin, and that came out a while ago. It's been a hard time for new games lately. The OBs like Fate Grand Order are staying at the top of the charts, so a breakout hit like Nier is a big deal, and I'm sure it's worrying the War of the Visions staff. Next, let's talk about the global reaction to Duane being added to JP. And can I just say that I don't like it when folks from one version talk about the other version. It goes back to my half-heard, half-understood truth thing. Stuff gets misinterpreted, people make assumptions, people get upset about things that are not actually a thing. I'm taking a stand here. If you don't speak Japanese, don't talk about JP. If you speak only Japanese, don't talk about global. Umbra Rays and me, we are the only ones allowed to talk about both. The vinegar is flowing. But anyways, global folks were like, oh, I'm glad Duane gets EX jobs, or I'm happy JP users get such an awesome unit. And I'm like, good God, way to not read the room. It's like saying, thanks to climate change, I can enjoy warm weather in January. If you are a whale and you can take the rising cost of the game without batting an eye, awesome, thank you for supporting the game. But people are going to get priced out of the game, and that is bad. Other people are saying if you don't like Duane, skip him, but that's not a solution. Again, the problem is not Duane, it's the normalization of cost 100 units. You can skip Duane because he is cost 100, but if cost 100 units come out every month, are you going to skip all of those too? Your account will be power crept out of PvP, possibly PvE as well. It's like saying, warm days in January, I'll just wear shorts, and meanwhile your house is sliding out into the ocean. Alright, finally, let's talk about the emergency livestream last night and the fallout of that. Top JP guilds organized a Duane boycott, and Square did a livestream to address those concerns. Duane will remain a cost 100 unit, but his shards will be at the normal price. Folks were asking, well, why not just make him cost 80 then? But that will require a redesign of the unit. I think global players can attest that he is overall stronger than cost 80 units. But that's a very sloppy short-term fix, with maybe bad long-term consequences. It doesn't address our fears that the developers are more than willing to speed up the release of cost 100 units. It flips our understanding of the unit cost system, so now every time a new unit is released, the developers will need to explain what the price is, since that's now detached from cost. And it's a thumb in the eye of global players that paid to work on him, and so now the developers will have to do something special about Duane and global, at the very latest when he gets EX jobs. Building a cost 100 unit is painful enough. It'll be worse knowing that a different version is doing it at half the price. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. In a future video, maybe I'll talk about how all this nonsense affects me and how I play. But long story short, it doesn't affect me because I play in a way designed to insulate me from stuff like this. We'll see you again. Take care.